Generative AI has dominated headlines for the past couple of years. But it's not the only type of AI that matters for business, and in some ways, it's not even the most proven. In this lecture, I want to draw a clear distinction between predictive AI and generative AI, because understanding this difference will help you identify the right opportunities in your organization. Let's start with predictive AI, which has been delivering business value for years, often quietly in the background. Predictive AI does exactly what the name suggests. It predicts outcomes based on patterns in the data. Will this customer churn? What's the probability this transaction is fraudulent? Which leads are most likely to convert? What demand should we expect next quarter? When will this machine need maintenance? These are typically classification or regression problems, the bread and butter of machine learning that we discussed earlier. You have historical data, you train a model, and a model makes predictions about new cases. Predictive AI is mature, well understood, and has a strong track record of return on investment when applied correctly. Banks have been using it for credit scoring for decades. Retailers use it for inventory optimization. Manufacturers use it for quality control. It's not glamorous, but it works. Now let's talk about generative AI. Generative AI creates new content. It doesn't just classify or predict. It produces text, images, audio, video, code, designs. The large language models we discussed in the last lecture are generative AI. So are image generators like DALL-E and Midjourney, and code assistants like GitHub Copilot. The excitement around generative AI is justified. It can automate creative and knowledge work in ways that weren't possible before. Draft emails, create marketing copy, generate first versions of reports, write and debug code, summarize meetings, brainstorm ideas. The productivity implications are significant. But here's the important nuance. Generative AI is newer, and its business applications are still being figured out. The return on investment is real, but it's often harder to measure than for predictive AI. Saving 20 minutes on drafting an email is valuable, but it's harder to quantify than reducing fraud losses by 15%. Let me give you a framework for thinking about when to use each. Use predictive AI when you need to make decisions at scale based on data patterns, approving loans, routing customer service tickets, prioritizing sales leads, scheduling maintenance, detecting anomalies. These are high-volume decisions where consistency and accuracy matter, and where you can measure success clearly. Use generative AI when you need to create, summarize, or transform content, drafting communications, extracting insights from documents, translating or adapting content, coding and debugging, brainstorming and ideation. These are tasks where the goal is creation or comprehension, and where human judgment is still part of the final output. And increasingly, those powerful applications combine both. Here's an example. A customer service platform might use predictive AI to analyze an incoming message. What's the customer's sentiment? How urgent is this? Which category does this belong to? Which agent should handle it? Then it might use generative AI to draft a response for the agent to review and send. Prediction handles the routing and prioritization. Generation handles the communication. Another example. A financial service firm might use predictive AI to identify which clients are at risk of leaving, then use generative AI to create personalized retention messages. Or a manufacturer might use predictive maintenance to forecast equipment failures, then use generative AI to automatically create work orders and documentation. The point is, these aren't competing technologies. They're complementary capabilities. The most sophisticated AI strategies leverage both. One more distinction worth noting: the risk profiles are different. Predictive AI risks include biased predictions, false positives and legacies, and over-reliance on historical patterns that may not reflect current reality. Generative AI risks include hallucinations, confidentiality issues if you put sensitive data into a prompt, and brand or legal exposure from generated content that's inaccurate or inappropriate. Both require thoughtful implementation and ongoing oversight, But the nature of what can go wrong is different, and your governance approach should reflect that. So when you're evaluating AI opportunities in your organization, ask, is this a prediction problem or a generation problem, or both? That question alone will clarify your thinking significantly. In our final foundational lecture, we look at the next key development in this field, agentic AI, systems that don't just respond to prompts, but take actions autonomously.